Hello, everybody. It's your good friend Mike Myers with the Monday edition of the Mike Myers live stream. Ask Mike Anything. The goal of this live stream is to provide those of us classically constricted by the coronavirus an opportunity to continue our studies on multiple topics, concentrating primarily on. I'm going to try to just not do other things and just talk to you. Concentrating primarily on CompTIA certifications. Here we like to work on A+, Net+, and Security+, but we're certainly more than capable of moving outside of the CompTIA and even into other certifications as well. So the goal here, and the reason we call this Ask Mike Anything, is that you ask me questions and I answer them. The primary way to ask questions is go ahead and just type them into the chat window here. By the way, if you're looking at that chat window, make sure it says live chat instead of top chat, and that'll get the algorithm out of the way, and hopefully things will work out nicely. And that's pretty much it. So we start here at 2 o'clock, and we run until the questions run out, or until 3 o'clock. That's 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time here in Houston, Texas. So we do hope you can join us. As always, it always takes folks a few minutes to get in here. So we will stall for a minute and deal with what we got to deal with. Brittany's here. Brittany, today's topic was requested, well, not directly requested, but sort of requested by Miss Brittany. And we're going to be talking about router configuration, not so much home. We're going to exclusively home router configuration, and when you open up that web browser and you get to a site, and how do you actually deal with all that stuff? I don't want to go through every possible setting because there's no reason to, but we certainly can do today, and we are going to do today, is talk a little bit about the Zen of SOHO router configuration. What are the things we're going to be looking for, and some of the more obvious issues that we run into. And you might say to yourself, but Mike, I may only have one router upon which I may configure. I don't want to mess with that router because it's allowing me to watch this show right now. What should I do? And the answer is very, very simple. Stand by. I'm going to show you tons of simulations for lots of different brands of SOHO routers. You're going to absolutely love it. It's good stuff. Scott Wolf is here too. All right. Mamsd, M-A-M-S-D, Mamsd, Mamsd. Am I pronouncing your name right? Hello, welcome aboard. Tolowitz, Zen and the Art of SOHO Router Maintenance. You ever read the book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance? Actually, a very sad book. All right, couple other things while we're at it here, folks. On that live, on your chat window, make sure you hit the three little ellipses and make sure you're toggling the timestamps so the timestamps are on. If we have any contests, I lean on those quite a bit. And also, if you're asking a particular question, I'll go, hey, Don Odinga 202 asked blah blah blah. So I'll use those references quite a bit. So make sure they're there for you. All right. Interesting errors pop up. So I'm assuming I look okay to you guys. How do I look? Just double checking some weird things that are going on. I think we're okay. All right, we're going to be talking about router configurations more than anything else, but I don't want to stall for a few more minutes. I mean, nobody gets here till about 2:10, like 10 minutes after, so I want to stall a little bit. Hey, I just got back from Skills USA. My buddy Dave Rush was there with me. Skills USA was a huge success. It was a lot of fun because normally I just sit in one competition area. I never get to go outside and say hello to anybody. And so this year I got to actually walk around and check everything out. It was a lot of fun. Lots of people going, "Are you Mike Myers?" And me getting to say things like, "Yes, yes I am." And so that was a lot of fun. And it was Atlanta, so yeah, it's Atlanta. What are you going to say? All right. Cisco Rodriguez, less is more. Less is more. That's a good name. And Kiomar Perez, fabulous. All right. So I'm going to start talking very, very slowly. And before we get too into this at all, just a couple of things. Number one, you can type questions into the question window, but the other thing you can do if necessary is you can send me an email. So my company's website is www.totalsim.com, although I really need to update this, and I will, in fact, this is the last time you'll see this. And my best email is michaelm@totalsim.com, Deswoods at Proton Mail as well, but use the TotalSim, and if you want to, you can just send me emails in case you're a little shy type, you don't want to ask questions on the live stream. I understand that happens. Also, do keep in mind that just because you're nice enough to show up today, we're offering massive discounts on Mike Meyers products. In particular, what I want you to, sorry, I got, okay. First of all, anytime everybody asks me, what does it take to pass any CompTIA exam, I always say the same things. Number one, you need instruction, which is either going to be instructor-led, or it's going to be videos. Number two, you need a reference, you need a book. And number three, you need some way to challenge yourself, and that's through practice questions. And of course, I sell all three. But what we're doing is we've got a deal where you can get practice questions and the ebook. Okay, not the paper book, the ebook, on just about anything you want. So do keep in mind that if you wanted to, you can get all this at 50% off. I'm already the cheapest out there. This is crazy. To take advantage of a deal like this, all you have to do is go to www.totalsim, that's TOTALSEM.com, just over to totalsim.com. Go over to the merchant area, pick up, let's say you're interested in Network Plus, grab the Network Plus ebook, grab the Network Plus practice questions, throw that in your cart, and just before you check out, type in the discount code of CRASH, CRASH. I'm not even going to ask Dave why he's using that one, but and you'll get 50% off. It's such an amazing deal that you got to do it. Dave wanted me to remind you that we have international vouchers for 50 countries. So we sell vouchers for all the CompTIA products at a nice discount, about a roughly 10% discount. Head over to totalsim.com, TOTALSEM.com, to check that out as well. Also, this is interesting. I did not know this. The old Network Plus retires this week. So from here on in, we'll have to only use the N10008. That's Network Plus, folks. I know if you guys, Brittany's working on her A Plus. She's like, what? No, this is this is Net Plus, Brittany. You're safe. The N10 exam, N10007 exam launched in March of 2018. The ons are back, yay! Because of the pandemic, had a much longer lifespan than most CompTIA exams. It lasted just a little over 4 years. Yep, that is absolutely true. Thanks for that little morsel, Dave. I completely was missing that. All right. So it looks like we're getting up to about a quorum or so. So Don Kalen Seraphim Perade is my quick guess, given the Enye over his name A at 206. How many and what certificate diplomas do you have, Mike? I have many. I don't know how to count them. I have many that have expired. I have most of the basic CompTIA, IT Fundamentals A+, Net Plus, Security Plus, CASP, CYSP, RFID. There's a bunch in there. So I don't have an easy way to enumerate them for you. All right, so what I want to do today is talk about home router configuration. All right. There's some pretty strong questions on, in particularly A+, and not as strong, but also on the Network Plus, that talk about how we configure these home routers. Now, the thing you got to remember with a home router is that it's not just a router. Your typical home router is going to be a 2-port router with a WAN side and a LAN side. It's going to be a 5 or 6-port switch, except the LAN side connection is connected into the switch. So you can plug into any port on the back, pretty much any port on the back of a home router, and get to the LAN side. So it is a 2-port router, and it's a switch, and it's a wireless access point, all wired together in one very, very convenient little box. So a lot of things take place when you're working with a home router. The first thing you got to remember more than anything else is all home routers going to have a default username and password, a factory username and password. Do make sure that you know what the default username and password is. That's usually simply going into Google. If you still have the documentation, that's great. A lot of times on the SOHO router itself, it'll say what the default username and password is. Worst comes to worst, it's a simple Google search to quickly go in and say, type in the model number, default username, password, hit enter, and you're there. Admin is not universal, but works on a lot. And admin spacebar, admin no password are two that you can always try. So be aware that those are your options. Okay, so you've got this home router, all right, and you can so you know what its username and password is, but how do you log into it? Well, to do that, that means you have to physically have a layer one connection between the SOHO router and whatever machine you're configuring. So when I'm first setting up a SOHO router, I don't plug it into my network. Okay, what I do is I got my SOHO router, and I'll usually just I've still got a laptop that has an RJ45 connection, and I'll just plug the laptop directly into the router and do all my configuration there. Then once it's set up, I'll go ahead and bring it online onto the network itself. There's a lot of reasons for doing that. The biggest reason is it makes you think about what all your network IDs are going to be, how this stuff gets configured. Uh, but it's pretty important. You don't want to just take a new router and snap it in. Because also keep in mind the third thing every new router is going to have is a default IP address, which is invariably 192.168.1.1 or 192.168.0.1. There's plenty of exceptions to that rule, but you do have that IP address. So you take your laptop, you snap it into the back of your SOHO router, and you open up your web browser and you type in 192.168.1.1. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. It was all that sashimi I had for lunch. Um, but that's the number one thing to get connected to it. So almost all SOHO routers will come out as DHCP servers automatically. So it's usually very easy to take your laptop and just plug into the router and type in whatever the default is for its IP address, then type in your username and password, and you're in. But what we're seeing more and more these days is a lot of these wireless access points come with a app for your phone, and it works pretty much the same way. The only difference is when that router boots up for the first time, he's going to boot up on his own network ID. That is not pretty common. If you actually were monitoring your wireless network, you would see this, and then you could the app will run on that. Some of them run on Bluetooth, although that's not too terribly common. Usually, it's going to be its own dedicated uh, uh, ad hoc 802.11 network that comes up after the configuration's gone. That ad hoc network disappears, and it just runs on the SSID, whatever you programmed in there. Okay, I'm just looking. All right. So one of the challenges for a lot of us, especially, it's hard to get a lot of experience on a lot of different SOHO routers. So I'm going to show you a place I like to go to. Let's make sure this works. So let me show you a particular URL, and let's see if this works. Cool. All right. So it might be hard for you guys to read right here. It's I'm going to go ahead and put it into the chat window so you guys can see it a little bit better. This is the URL where this particular website exists. So it's HTTPS, obviously, high speed, one word, .tips /routers/. And we'll leave it up there so folks can look at it. Now, before we dive too deeply into this, keep in mind that all these guys are just creating links to the actual manufacturer's demo or simulation sites, okay? So don't ask for these guys to help too much on that kind of stuff, but they can. All right, hang on. I want to check. One, two. Every time I come to the side, it's just interesting things. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this a little bit. So keep in mind, the number one thing you're going to do with a SOHO router when you get it is you are going to change the username and password. Okay, so whatever the default is, change it. And that's probably the single most important thing. Secondarily, you're going to program into the LAN, the LAN side, something other than 192.168.1.x, 192.168.0.x. Using private IP address range is a fantastic idea, but try to do something other than 192.168. So like 172.16s, 172.17s, or even a 10 dot. So that's completely up to you. So with that understanding in mind, let's go in and just kind of play with this a little bit. Guys, I have not really rehearsed this, so this could be interesting. So what I want to do is I'm going to pick any old interface, okay? And I want to change the default username and password. Folks, you got to keep in mind, no one's going to tell you how to do this. You got to poke around a little bit. You know that you've typed in a username and password, correct? Therefore, there's got to be a place to change it. So let's give it a try. All right, so I'm just going to arbitrarily pick something here. Here's a RT AC 5300. Most of these are older, but that doesn't hurt anything. The interfaces still work the same. All right, so here I am on this RTC 5300. All right, so this is a 802.11 AC, I'm pretty sure, router. And this ASUS, oh, it's an AX router, even better. This interface is pretty common on just about all the ASUS stuff. So what we're going to do here for starters is we're going to change the default username and password. And before we do this, you guys got to remember these are simulations, okay? So they pretty much just reset themselves. But it does allow us to do the most important thing you can do, and what gets a lot of people in trouble on the A plus and to a lesser extent on the Network Plus is that we don't understand what we're doing, okay? So one more time, when I'm working on a SOHO router, I don't know where it is to change the default username and password, but by golly, I guarantee you there is a place to do it. So let's poke around together and see if we can figure this out. So I'm looking for administration. So there's a, let me scroll that. You guys actually can't see that. Let me bring this up a little bit. And it says administration. So I'm going to click on administration. And let's look at the top on here. System. Aha. There it is right there. So router login name, I can type in a new password, retype the password, and it changes that. Now you might say, well, gee, Mike, that's obvious and easy. Anybody can do that. Well, it's a lot harder when Uncle Mike isn't here. Emotional damage to try to help you out to figure these things out. So what I'd like to do is let's do it again, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to backtrack out of here a little bit. And this time we're going to try it. And I'm just going to arbitrarily pick a different router. And that's what I like about this. See how they got lots and lots of routers to play with? All right, so here's a, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I'm trying to pick one that's going to be not so painful. Let's do Linksys. All right, so you can see they got a lot of old Linksys devices on here too, so we'll scroll down a little bit. And let's pick one. Remember what we're doing here, folks. What we're going to try to do, oh, this is great because it has both the mobile version and the web version. We're going to do the web version. So what we're going to do here is all we're going to do is change the default username and password to log on to it. And again, you just got to go with stuff. So could it be security? Let's see what security does for us. Completely not the place to go. This is normally what happens. Connectivity, speed test, this is part of the fun of all this is trying to figure out where to do certain things. There's an administration tab, but it's still So that's the wireless network information there. Here we go. There it is. Router password. Guys, I had no idea where it is. This is the most important thing when you're dealing with home routers is that you've got to not be afraid to poke around. Know what you're doing. Look, you're never going to be challenged on a CompTIA exam. What do you click in a home router to do X? But what they do expect you to know is understand what would be some of the things we do. So let's take, I'm not even going to bother changing. I just want to look at it real quick. And you can see that we can change the router name and password right there if we want to. All right, that was easy. Let's try something else for fun. So almost every SOHO router is wireless, and not only are they wireless, but the wireless is almost always turned on in wireless access point mode. So what I want to do is, again, we're going to arbitrate. We'll stick with this one because it's already up, but let's figure out how we're going to turn off wireless. Well, Mike, why would we want to turn it off? Because sometimes you just do. One of the great reasons to turn off wireless is, like for example, I have this wonderful Ubiquity Edge router, and it's fantastic. But I have a big mesh network in my house. I don't want that mesh doing his own SSID outside of the one I've already got spread around. So that would be one example where it's a perfectly good router, but I'm just going to turn off the wireless. All right, let's take a look at here. Oh, I'm going to go back to the beginning so we can look together. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can figure this one out. And once again, I've got it zoomed in a little bit so you guys can see things. So I'm assuming that this is going to be under wireless. And again, remember, we're trying to turn wireless off, folks. One moment, please. If I go locking this up, so I'm going to let that run for a minute. This is always the downside to using these simulations is that usually other people might be using them at the same time. So instead of getting all wound up about this, I'm just going to pick a different one. Let go. That was the one I did before. These are all pretty much all functional the same. Bring this guy up. Okay, so we're going to turn off wireless. So I'm going to go, I'm guessing it's under Wi-Fi. We'll see if I'm right. And I get another spinner. How about those Astros, huh, kids? Tell you what, I'm going to let that spinner run for a minute. Let's check where we are with questions. I'm literally just watching this thing spin. Super Omar, good to see you, man. I got an offer to teach CompTIA A Plus at my clubhouse, at your clubhouse, and would like to know: do you give discounts on books when bought in bulk for nonprofit? There are some kind of discounts. Oh, Super Omar, I have no control over that stuff. Give me a holler, and we can hook you up with the people. Keep in mind, if you notice, unlike a lot of other companies' books who sell their A Plus books for close to $100, I'm still in the $35 range. Oh, what? Emotional damage? Uncle Raja? I love Uncle Roger. He's so there he is. Hi, Gal. We turned off. There's Dave Rush at 222. We turned off Wi-Fi at a dozen SOHO routers. Yeah, because they were just puking out SSIDs. We had to get rid of those things. Tolowit. Another reason to turn off wireless is to make sure kids do their homework before playing Fortnite. Good point, sir. Absolutely. Man, we are still in a scroll. So you know what? I'm going to forget about Linksys, and I'm going to pick another brand that might actually work instead of embarrassing me in front of all the people. Let's go with good old DD-WRT. It's an oldie, but it's a classic. Let's take a look together. Okay, so this is DD-WRT. Let me make this a little bit bigger so folks have a better chance of being able to read it. All right, and by default, it does happen to be on wireless already. So turning off wireless can be a real challenge, okay? So most of the time, you see where it says wireless mode? So client bridge ad hoc. Okay, that is not it. All right. So wireless network mode. Let's see what we have here. Disabled. There we go. Do you see it? That just turned it off. So keep in mind we have more than one interface here. So here's one interface, and then there's a secondary interface. Remember, we've got on this on this one we have 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. So I'm assuming I can turn that off here, disable that as well. Now the other thing, let's bring this down to the bottom so you can see it, because this gets people in trouble all the time. So you see here it says save, apply changes, or cancel changes. Cancel changes is obvious; it'll just put you back here, but without any changes. But here, if you apply settings, and this could take a moment on the wrong kind of router, this could take 30 seconds. In fact, I even got an error code pop up. So in general, when you see apply versus save, pretty much what apply says is stay right here. We're going to keep on the screen, but save what we got so far. Whereas save settings usually means we're going to be saved and we're going to go to a higher up interface. This is the one downside to working with these types of things, because then we get groovy errors like this. So we'll have to give that a minute to come back around. All right, so that's for the DD-WRT. I want to try one more, though. And again, this website is highspeed.tips/routers/. Great place for doing just demos if you want to play with our stuff. Here's a Tenda, which I don't even really know what this is, but we're going to try. Set your connection type. This is for the WAN side. Most everybody's dynamic DNS. Wi-Fi settings. I'm trying to get some, there we go, trying to get some main screen. So what you just saw there, folks, is something you see on a lot of these home routers. The first time you plug them in, they're usually going to try to run some kind of app. And I'm not talking the app on your phone. That'll work, but there's usually going to be some kind of third-party app that it downloads and tries to get you to run right there. I'm not a big fan. I believe in manually configuring all my SOHO routers, but do be aware that that's an option there. All right, so let's go dig in this and see if we can find a place to turn off wireless. All right, so third one down says Wi-Fi setting. That's probably going to be my guess. Wi-Fi. So this is always fun. Is trying to figure out which one is it going to get. I think if we turn off the AP mode, so where it's just nothing, I'm pretty sure that'll do it. And we're going to be sitting on a nice long reboot, 3%, 4%, 5%, 20%. Boring, 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 boring. So if you run into questions on a CompT exam that are really addressing SOHO routers and configuration, one more time, you're never going to be asked a question that literally points and says, where do you click? As we just saw here through examples, is that it can be a real challenge, okay? So the real trick here is just remember that URL. It's a wonderful one, and it's highspeed.tips/router/. I put it in the link. You know what? Maybe I'll put it in again. I'll throw it in one more. Zach Morrill, good Lord. Does anybody owe Zach money? Anyway, this is a great place just to practice stuff. For example, here's a good one. Write this down. Everybody, I want you to try turning off a DHCP server. All right? How do you turn off a DHCP server? Tell you, we'll do one more just for fun. Just try to pick one to do. I'm going to try this Netgear one more time. But we didn't do Netgear. So again, you see these guys point to all kinds of stuff. Is this actually going to work? Oop. My Mandarin is terrible, so I'm going to skip on that one. Let's try. I'm not ready to quite give up on that, though. How about this old D-Link? Yeah, no big surprise there. Let's go back to Aces one more time. See if we have any luck here. All right, let me scroll this down so you can see it. It is amazing how so many different interfaces, right? So what I want to do, I said I want to turn off DHCP, right? So, oh boy. Advanced setting, LAN, DHCP server. Whew, that popped up easy. And there you go. Enable the DHCP server. There you go. No. Ta-da! You have just turned off a DHCP server. So last time, kids, when you're messing with a home router, remember, well, first of all, when I'm messing with home router, the first thing I'm going to do is draw two circles. The first circle is going to be my ISP and what is the WAN side of my router going to be called, okay? And it's almost certainly going to be a DHCP client. On the LAN side, go ahead and set it to something other than the classic 192.168. Even this one, you can see here, it's set to 192.168 1.2, stuff like that. Just set it to something a little bit more original. So this is 192.168 1.1. Yeah. So for me, oops, 172.18.19.1. There you go. So that is a private IP address, but it's not the good old 192.168. It's trying to be something a little bit more clever than that. Oh, that's handy. Look, it actually shows all the private IP address ranges for you right there. And this is an older ASUS WAP to say the least, but it works. When Dave, I'm assuming you got your hand on that one. No, I got it. Sorry, guys. A little bit of administrator stuff here. Yeah, I think we got all cleared up. All right. So really do check that out and try some of those situations and have fun configuring it. The only one thing it does different than what you'd expect is that when you change the LAN address from like 192.168 1.1 to 172.44.55.1, you'll lose that connection until the DHCP server yells it back out. The last thing I'm going to say before we move on is that configuring home routers is a pain. It's always a pain. And it is not at all uncommon to have to go about and do factory resets. You aren't even a real tech until you've had to factory reset your home router at least 10 times because you keep tweaking with it and making mistakes and you set it back to all your defaults. So keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. All right. So let's see what else we got going here, kids. Oh, so Monday, July 4th is AMA. Oh my goodness. So guys, Elaine Batzer from Essex Tech is actually going to be here in Houston Yeah, guys, I have some very exciting news, but it's a little bit of a disappointer for you, and that is my daughter just called me up and said, "Looks like you're going to be that grandchild number 3 is going to be coming. Dad, can you fly out to Denver real quick and cover in case we got to run to the hospital?" So, folks, I am leaving for Denver July 9th. Oh, but I'll be here for the 4th. Uh, I will be doing the AMA on July 4th. Monday, July 4th, we will do an AMA. It'll probably be a light one, but I always like to be here in case people have questions. Whether Dave will be here or not, I'm not sure. July 4th is a pretty big holiday for us folks in the States, and it's a big deal. So we'll see what happens. All right. I moved the mic and nobody could hear me. Yeah, no, yeah, I'm sorry, Dave. I was bringing up that Elaine Batzer is going to be here, but that will be later. So we should be just fine. We can work that out. Should be a pretty exciting AMA. All right, what else do we have going here? People are chatting away. Stephen Griffin just passed the Core 2 test to finish May Plus. Your material is a big part. Congratulations to you, Stephen. Go get a job. Spammers. Yeah, pretty exciting. Going to be grandpa number 3. This one's going to be a granddaughter. So we're pretty exciting. Mr. S, hit me up in Denver. Mr. S, here, Mr. S, send me an email if you're serious. Michael M at TotalSim.com is fine. Mr. S, send me a thing. Maybe we can get together. You know, the downside to babies getting born is there's a whole lot of sitting around and waiting. Don Odinga, Uncle Mike, Uncle Raja, can you shed some light on what a snapshot is? Sure. In what way do you mean a snapshot? In general, a snapshot is some methodology by which we record the state of a system at one given moment. Uh, so that's used on a lot of backup type scenarios, used on Windows for system backups. Um, Snapshot, yes. Here. Glad I had my banana. So I tried to get a good answer from Microsoft years ago about what do they mean by a snapshot within the backup scenario. Give me one sec, kids. Give me one second. We're on. Are you about to leave, Miss Tara? All right. Very good. Tara, we'll see you. We'll see you mañana. Okay. Bye bye. One second, guys. So what I talk about a snapshot, in the most common way I see it used is that we're talking about backup scenarios, and you can also use it as a straight Windows backup. I've seen it in virtualization, where we're taking a snapshot of a machine state, and basically what it is a snapshot is a incomplete backup because you already have everything backed up. A snapshot defines the state of certain things at that individual moment. So it's going to be for example, you can do a snapshot of your registry, and what it's going to do is the snapshot isn't going to save up a complete second copy of registry, just the difference between your stored registry versus whatever updates have just been made. So that's when we talk about a snapshot. It is not a full backup. It's basically differences more than anything else. Hey, Mike, what is the difference of tiers? For example, tier 1, tier 2, etc. The term tiers vary dramatically and change completely depending on what you're talking about. For example, if we're talking about the tiers of the internet, tier 1 is the highest and most powerful tier. Tier 2 is underneath that, tier 3, etc. If we're talking about hardware support, tier 1 tends to be the most least trained technicians who are using knowledgeware to try to answer questions. And if they can't, then it's going to go up to tier 2. So there's an example right there where tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 mean two totally different things, even with the world of IT. So I can't answer the question in that. It's just one way to look at that, Johnny Five. It really depends on what you're talking about. Johnny Five, if you want more details, tell me what kind of tier you're interested in talking about. I can talk about all kinds of different tiers. How are we doing on time? 2:41. Man, time flies when you're having fun, huh? Dave Rush, I still cannot get into the hub, so I'm going to have to fire some questions out myself here. Johnny Five, I mean in terms of employers mentioning them in job descriptions. Okay. So I think Johnny Five said, I mean in terms of employers mention them in job descriptions. Probably means that you're talking like a help desk kind of thing or any type of tech support. Immediately followed by Scott Wolf at 241 saying, what about help desk tiers? Johnny Five, Scott Wolf, y'all are talking about the same thing. In any type of IT support, help desk, whatever you want to call it, your basic level of support is going to be tier 1. Tier 1 technicians, help desk personnel usually don't require a lot of knowledge. And it's the classic entry-level starting spot for so many people in IT. Usually you're just using some knowledgeware where you're typing in questions as the person's complaining about something, you hit enter, and the knowledgeware pretty much tells you what to do. The knowledgeware will also tell you things like if X or Y is happening, go ahead and escalate. Remember that word, escalate it up to tier 2. And then tier 2 people, they can still use knowledgeware, but they also have enough of their own intelligence, their own experience to go ahead and start trying to do some diagnostic. Whereas tier 3 is usually has nothing to do with knowledgeware at all, and it's just really, really sharp text. So it's very common in our industry to start at tier 1 and move your way up. Now, if you want to talk about internet tiers, then that means something completely different. But I think Johnny Five and Scott Wolf helped out a little bit. Viral Video 24, welcome to see you, man. All right, so just for funsies, let's have a quick little competition. All right, since we were talking about tiers, you guys ready? This isn't even on in any of my books, but we're gonna have some fun with it. So tier 3 is the highest, most advanced tier. Tier 2 is a little bit of knowledgeware and a little bit of their own stuff. Tier 1 is pretty much all knowledgeware. The first person to answer this to my satisfaction gets 90 days free access to the practice questions of their choice. You guys ready? Speculate for me. What does tier 0 mean? Talk about tier 0. Just type it in. Somebody type in to the chat window what you think tier 0 means, and the first person who puts something up that works to my to my satisfaction is going to win 90-day free access. I'm going to let people. All right, so I'm seeing we got a number of people coming in. So generally, to me, tier 0 means self-service. That doesn't mean that you're on your own. When I see tier 0, that means that you're going to a website, you're doing self-help. Okay? So that doesn't mean nothing is happening at all. So, like Mohammed said, tier 0 end user. It is the end user, but it's really more of the person doing it themselves. So, I'm going to give this one to TD Washington. What? Nope, nope. I'm lied to. Sorry, I was about to say TD Washington. Sorry, man. Did not mean to put that out and fool you back. The winner is going to be Patrick Curtis. All right, end users should be able to resolve the issue. I will go with that. Patrick, congratulations. Patrick, you've just won 90-day free access to the practice questions of your choice, courtesy of Total Seminars. However, Patrick, in order to win this prize, you got to jump through a couple of hoops. Patrick, the first thing you've got to do is you got to send an email. You need to send an email to daveR@totalsem.com. That's daveR@totalsem.com. Inside that email, Patrick, be sure to put your YouTube name, which would be Patrick Curtis. Type in your email address in the body of the email. Yeah, I know it's an email. There's a return address. We don't care. One in the body of the email, too. And then number 3, let us know exam you want. We have all kinds of different exams. And don't panic if you didn't get all that, Patrick. Dave Rush has already punched it into the chat window, and you can refer it. So in order to claim your prize, you got to send us an email. So Brittany said, true 0 should be yourself, right? The average user. It is, but what's more important, it's not just the user, Brittany. It's the user using self-help tools to get through that. Lester Andrade. Hey, Lester. Why can't I never pronounce your last name, Lester? I don't know why. Mike, with someone with no experience, do you recommend them taking a chance on CyberNow Labs and getting your Security Plus to them, or getting a job after taking the class? Lester, that's a big deal. CyberNow Labs. For those of you who don't know, Total Seminars got bought out by a group called National Cyber Group. I'm getting my first employee paycheck for like the first time in over 30 years. Uh, National Cyber Group has a vision, and that is they're going to take on this incredible shortage of IT security people by using what I call the unboot camp, and that is CyberNow Labs. So CyberNow Labs also got bought out. Total Seminars got bought out. CyberNow Labs got bought out by National Cyber Group, and they have a aggressive program. It's a lot longer than a regular boot camp. It's a few months long. But they have had outrageous success in getting people from basically 0 all the way up to, in a few months, getting very high paid jobs. I would not have let them bought me if I didn't believe in what they're doing. It's an expensive program, costs about $6,800. Oh, by the way, if you sign up for the CyberNow Labs program, just tell them Mike Meyers sent you, and they'll knock 1,000 off. But they do a lot of other things, because a lot of you sit there going, "I don't have $5,800." Well, first of all, CyberNow Labs pretty much only makes you pay half of it. Then you pay the other half when you get a job. You're not going to be in debt to National Cyber Group. They won't let that happen. None of these weird financing. We just don't deal with any of that. So there's a lot of options for it. I will tell you this, that if you can get into the CyberNow Labs program, and if you have a good work ethic, there's no reason why you can't do it. It's an amazing opportunity. But something to keep in mind. It's not for everybody, Lester, and the upfront money is serious, but to consistently get people jobs, $85,000 a year to start, health plan, the whole shebang, it's extremely exciting. And basically what they do that nobody else does is they don't even have a simulation. They have a data center and a security operations center, a SOC, that's actually has its own traffic and own logs and everything. So you'll see other people try to do this as a simulation. These guys are really doing it. Lester, if you are that level of tech and you're looking for a jump start and you're willing to risk the money, it's not a lot of risk, but there is some risk. I would say definitely go through CyberNow Labs. Uh, Keep in mind, you're going to get a lot more from CyberNow Labs than a Security Plus, Lester. You're going to be getting CyberNow Labs has placement. They will not only teach you, but they will get you a job. They have a placement rate that's basically about 90%, which tells me that that's basically 100%. Because out of 100 people, a couple are going to move, a couple of them are going to get married. You know what I mean? So this is effectively a 100% pass rate as far as I'm concerned. Patrick Rose, this is truly a blessing. My family just relocated to Huntsville, Alabama, space camp. And there, Security Plus is necessary for most roles because everything is government. So thankful. No worries. Patricia Grace. Who's Patricia Grace? I'm sorry, Patricia Grace. Can you identify yourself, please? All right, looks like we're kind of slowing down on questions, so let me throw out one more thing. Folks, do keep in mind that we have a Discord channel. This is a great Discord channel. David's got a link on it in there. Please check it out. It's a great opportunity to meet with other techs. Our Discord channel it's not huge, but it is popular and active, and certainly something to check out. So fantastic, Dave. Thank you for reminding that. Okay, we had something we had to do on Wednesday. Oh, I seem to remember there were some questions on RAM, just good old RAM. So we're going to have RAM Wednesday. How's that sound? It'll just kind of cover some of the more critical aspects of RAM and what you can expect to see on the exam. But Wednesday is RAM Day. That should be a lot of fun. All right, well, listen, folks, looks like everybody's wrapping up here. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. Check out the Discord channel. It's absolutely fantastic. And for the record, there's lots of people in there. There's probably better, guys like Tolowit are probably better techs than me, and I'm not afraid to say that. Matt, Justin, I was teasing. I was pretending like I didn't know who Patricia was. She is very much one of the regulars, no doubt about that. I was just teasing her a little bit because, she owes me a lot of money, like crazy a lot of money. All right. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. We'll see you back here on Wednesday. Don't forget that Dave Rush is on Fridays right here at the Total Seminars channel, right here on YouTube with Dave Rush Ask Mike Anything, or DRAMA, or Drama, which is so perfectly named for my friend Dave Rush. I just can't possibly think they come up with anything better than that. So, folks, do check in. Come Wednesday. We're always giving stuff away. Would love to see you. And until then, it's your Uncle Mikey saying good night. Good night. And we're off.